Florida goes into Dish Falk. The only thing I'm mad about, Harrison, I should have called this. I should have had the stones to go with this prediction. I didn't. And
No,
that's
because
on me.
you said Florida's cooked early in the year. Put a fork in them, they're cooked.
I mean, at one point they were. Credit to Sully and company for turning it around. That was the motivation they needed. That's what I'm going to stand on. Florida goes into Austin, Harrison. Takes 2 out of 3, and it started from the jump. They score 6 runs in the top of the first inning in game 1. They hold on, run away with that one. This was another one. Weather impacted. Game 2 happens on Saturday. Liam Peterson is shoving. Texas gets a lightning delay sent from the high heavens above that changes that game entirely. Give Texas credit. Come out of the lightning delay. Liam Peterson's day is done, obviously. They come back, win that one. But for Florida, in game 3, rubber match in Austin, to come through, big swing of the bat from Brody. Really, we can talk about guys swinging the stick for Florida. Aiden King, man. Aiden King in game 3. Drop your freaking nuts, young man. Go out there when your team needs you. And I know it's not the best lineup in the conference with Texas.
I know exactly where that quote's
from.
But
still a very capable lineup. Drop your nuts when your team needs you most and put on a freaking show and deliver a championship-level outing. That's what you got from Aiden King. Then Jake Clemente comes in, slams the door. They're able to save him. Harrison, there's not a hotter team in college baseball right now than the Florida Gators. From 1-11 in conference play to we're potentially talking about them. If they were to do the crazy thing and sweep this weekend, Alabama, we're talking about a Florida team that could play their way into hosting a regional, as wild as that sounds. Thoughts on the weekend? I think they absolutely could. Yes. With their schedule, strength of schedule, RPI, who they've beaten and not. There's at least a discussion. Dude, if they sweep Bama and then go to Hoover, win 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, win 2 or 3 in Hoover,
you cannot tell me they don't deserve it.
Win 2 or 3 in Hoover,
yeah.
Me. But not just based off a sweep next week.
I think they've moved already from a 3 to a 2. I think they've already jumped from the 3 to the 2. I would be shocked if they're not a 2 seed in the latest projections. Would be shocked. Just saying, the turnaround, a team that started 1-11 in conference play has never made the postseason until now because they are 100% a lock to get in.
Yep. The stat you're saying since 1992 expansion, no SEC team has made the tournament, the NCAA tournament, starting 2-10 or worse. No team since 1992 has ever done that. Florida started 1-11. This was their first series.
And now it's what, 13-14, I believe. Yep, 13-14.
This is their first series win, Chris, versus the number 1 ranked team since sweeping number 1 Texas A&M in April of 2016 as well. I mean,
wow,
how much hotter can you get than that? And doing it on the road. Yes, Texas is a struggling team right now, just injuries wise, and it's really hurting them. Obviously you lose your Friday night arm, your best arm, starter wise, and then you lose 2024 Big 12 Player of the Year and a preseason Golden Spikes watch list and Max Ballou. But I mean, we talk about it all the time, Chris. I feel like you can never count out a Florida team. And I said that even when you said they were cooked, I said you can never count out a Florida team head coached by Kevin OSullivan. He's been to Omaha more times than he has not. And think about when he's been there, Florida has taken down the number 1 team in the country 10 times since 2012. And as they hand Texas their first home series loss this season. As many big series as Texas has played at home, no one could do it except for Florida at the end of the year. I mean, they've won 15 of their last 19 overall, 12 of their last 15 in SEC play. They've won 5 straight SEC series, Chris, after you said they were cooked. And it was on the backs of
I'd like to go back and check the tape. I definitely said they were cooked, but I don't think I said just like I think I left the door open. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, you said I think they have to win the rest of their SEC series.
I think I left the door. We'll have to go back and
check the oven
tape.
Open.
We'll have to go back and check the tape. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like you said, Aiden King. I mean, he's allowed only 1 earned run in 14 1/3 innings across his last 3 starts.
Harrison, he has the best ERA amongst freshmen in the conference.
I was about to say, as a freshman to lead the league in ERA, I mean,
He's got the third best, according to the broadcast of the weekend, he's got the third best freshman ERA in college baseball. And I'm sure there's some
In the
qualification.
SEC is doing it too.
I'm sure there's some qualification to that, but like,
Minimum
dude,
innings
yeah,
pitched,
I mean, they, I remember you and I talking Harrison preseason about, hey, they got this guy, Aiden King. I don't think they expected him to be maybe in this position already in his young
They
career.
had to rely on him is the thing, though.
Had to. They didn't have a choice.
I mean, I don't know if you saw what Coach OSullivan said about him. On his elite performance, but I think as a whole, he said, I don't remember a freshman pitcher on the road pitching like this as well as he's done. And if it's happened, it hasn't happened in a really long time.
I mean, that was a big time outing. That was that moment. That was a big time outing.
That showed what his potential is a year or two from now. That's going to be like, I don't want to say the expectation standard to put pressure on him, but like that's going to be like, hey, like this is what he can do week in and week out for us throughout his career as a Florida Gator. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you got to think they're 4-1 overall. The Gators are, and 2-1 on the road in series under OSullivan this year. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I'll say this, Harrison, because I know before the season
he was so dialed in, Chris. And the thing is, as a freshman against the number one team in the country on the road, he left 10 guys on base.
Yeah, he had full. You could tell watching him, he had full command of the game.
Yeah,
like the moment wasn't too big. There was never a moment where I thought he got outside of himself. You know what that's like, Harrison. You know what that looks like, feels like. He was in total control. He was playing catch. It just a day playing catch.
Yeah, literally. And hey, let the defense, help me out. Why not? Like, I'm going to go strike out some guys and let the defense get some few outs.
Harrison, what about the lineup for Florida? I don't feel like it's just one guy. Like, you got a lot of guys. I talked about Donay had a big backside home, but it's Luke Haymon's always coming up clutch of big hits. Bobby Baseball's coming up clutch of big hits. It's a bunch, Brendan Lawson. It's a bunch of different dudes. I don't think there's like one guy you look at and like he's just caught crazy fire. They got a bunch of guys. And to think, I mean, dude, Saturday they had 9 position players available because Justin Nato got sick or whatever. They got 10 position.
And you talked about going into the series. I mean, it's crazy just like, and you and I are super high on how talented this team was begin the season and early in the season, just like how this might be. Yes, the pitching staff has had some injuries. They lost their starting center fielder, the Stetson transfer, and Kyle Jones, I believe, and just what he's, he meant to the.
They lost him early, really early.
They lost him like
Miami series, end of March.
Yeah, and like how important of a piece he was, to line up a big impact transfer player. And it's like, it's not. Use as an example. It's not the offense revolves around Justin LeBron. Florida can beat you with so many different guys. Like let's say, Bobby Bowser and Luke Haymon and Brendan Lawson don't have a good game. All right, Hayden Yost, go have 3 RBIs. Justin Nato, go have 3 RBIs. Like in the bottom third of the order, they can produce. Mm-hmm. And it's been streaky, obviously hot and then really cold and then warming up and then now heating up throughout the season. Heat up at the right time, Chris, getting healthy at the right time and how important that is. And this lineup, has experience and has a good mix of experience, I think, in depth as well. But it's also, you got to look at, getting healthy. And Pierce Coppola, I thought looked good in a short start. Obviously 43 pitches.
Talk about a guy that's 6'8", by the way.
Yeah, with probably a 7-foot release height, and throwing downhill. I mean, I thought he looked really good. And it's one of those things that he's continued to build confidence since coming back. I mean, he's 3-0. Take it with a grain of salt because I think it's a dumb stat, to be honest with you. But,
he's a weapon, though. He's a weapon for them.
Yeah, and then Billy Barlow coming in and just being on point like a decimal. I mean, come on. I mean, it was –
I mean, that was huge, Harrison, from the standpoint they were able to save Jake Clemente to Sunday. And, I mean, he made things
and Luke McNeely pitched good. He needed to because he has so much inconsistency as well.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to utilize Philpott moving forward because he's just been so inconsistent. That is probably the biggest knock, I would say. He hasn't been what they expected, but, I mean, Kevin OSullivan talked about it. He's getting the question like, what do you credit to the turnaround? And he mentions Jake Clemente, I think, every time he answers that question. Them moving him to the back end of the bullpen, Harrison, it's changed their bullpen. It's just complete. And then obviously you needed a guy like Aiden King to step up and fill the role. But Jake Clemente, I mean, and he made things very interesting on Sunday. Don't get me wrong, but he's like a big time. I mean, he's pumping 98, big time dude. So I think he's a great fit back there. And dude, I know we had this debate, Harrison, and rightly so in the preseason, but I want to go back to this because what I was about to say was give credit to Kevin O'Sullivan. In the preseason, I ranked Kevin O'Sullivan as the #1 head coach in the SEC.
So
and listen, if Jay Johnson wins a national title, we'll have a different conversation. If things can obviously change depending on new information that comes about, what happens in the postseason, et cetera. But this season is only reaffirming why I had Kevin O'Sullivan in that #1 spot. Like, to take
this might be his most impressive year.
To take a team from 1-11 in conference play to where they are now, and not just that, because you and I agree, they've always had the talent to go on this run. We never questioned that. Got super cold start of SEC play, all the injuries hit at once. The way Kevin O'Sullivan has been able to push all the right buttons, pull all the right strings, they're going into these weekends with like a literal script of how they're going to pitch guys, how long they're going to go. Like, the way they're having to roadmap this thing and then they're executing it, it just shows again why Kevin O'Sullivan, in my opinion, until somebody dethrones him, is the best coach in the SEC and one of the best in the country. Like, the proof's in the pudding. I don't know how many other coaches could take the situation they've been in with the injuries and being shorthanded and all the adversity they had, being 1-11, and getting it even remotely close to this point. So we always knew they had the talent, but I think you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff and Kevin O'Sullivan specifically for keeping those guys believing in each other, rallying around each other, and putting them all in the best possible position to be successful, not losing the faith, but also being able to just push the right buttons, pull the right strings in the pitching staff, in the lineup. And again, the way you're winning with 10 position players and having to shuffle your pitching staff. Think about how differently Florida looks right now than they looked in the preseason when we predicted and thought they were going to be, an Omaha team. They very well may still be an Omaha team, but it's a completely different look than we expect in the preseason. Now, that speaks so much to me about Kevin O'Sullivan and his entire staff. They've done an incredible job. Probably, I think maybe the best coaching job of anybody in this conference because of the adversity they faced.
I absolutely agree with that. I was about to say, I think it's one of the most it's the team with the most adversity, I think, in the conference as a whole this season, just with all the things you mentioned of, the injuries, the, shuffling of things and just things they've had to battle through. Obviously, I think the schedule's been super tough too. They got, a #4, I think, shrink the schedule in the country. I mean, it's the non-conference RPI as well as #7 in the country. It's so tough, and he has proven it year in, year out. And I think, surprisingly, Chris, somehow, some way that he has proven that this, even with a week left, I'm going to say before conference tournament, this is his best regular season coaching year, I think, of his career, maybe. I think it's up for that debate for sure. And it's one of those things that what he's had to deal with and the other things he had to overcome, as well as, like you said, recently battling with 10 position players and then 9 on the road against the #1 team in the nation. It's just so impressive. And it's a thing that is a no takeaway from Texas, because they've had obviously their struggles recently and injuries as well. And, finally got caught at home, I guess you could say.
I mean, dude, and you mentioned Texas because I do want to ask you.
We haven't talked about Texas at all. We need to.
I know. I want to give credit to Florida because I think they went in there and took it. I don't think Texas
if this was at Florida, I would have picked Florida to win the series.
Yeah, Florida went in there and took it. Like, I don't think it was, but I do have to ask you: are you hitting the panic button? Are you worried about Texas for real? For real? Like, last weekend was, hey, whatever, they were due. Now it's like, there's your thoughts. Are you hitting the panic button on Texas at all?
No, just because I know how talented this team is, top to bottom, how good they are in close games, and just how talented this coaching staff is, Chris, and knowing how to get the best out of their players and put them in the best situations to be successful. I think that's a huge thing as well, and something that, they've been battle tested so much. I know obviously a lot of it's been at home, but I still think they've been battle tested a lot and have, a lot of really talented arms still, even though you lose, let's say, 5 innings a weekend, 5.5 innings a weekend. Granted, I know you can't throw half an inning, but on average, from, your Friday night ace and Jared Spencer. I think they have enough guys to make up for it. I mean, you have Grayson Saunier, who went 5 1/3. I thought it was a huge situation, a huge spot that they needed to have him there. I mean, Max Grubbs does a phenomenal job first guy at the pin. I mean, you can even, maybe you throw Ruger back in a Sunday role and put Grubbs as kind of like a 3-4 inning opener, and then put Saunier after him, but like they have the arms to do so. And Hudson Hamilton, like I haven't seen him pitch a ton, pitched really well. You know, they have guys that they haven't thrown a ton because they haven't necessarily need to or been forced to, but they have so much talent in the bullpen. I think that people don't know about. And then obviously the job that, you know, Thomas Burns does every time he's out there almost feels like, and then absolutely every time but one, Dylan Valancis does out there. He's got 12 saves now in the year. I mean, dude, as a freshman in the SEC, it's just so incredibly well, and he can do it in multiple innings. I'm not hitting the panel back button on Texas because you're also getting Max Ballou back. You're getting it back.
Let me ask you this before we move on. What do you do with Riojas?
I think you move him to Sunday role.
So who pitches Friday?
I think, like I said, like an opening with Max Grubbs, if you're listening, like with 3 or 4 innings, and then, you know, or maybe Saunier goes like 3 or 4. I mean, I think they have the talent to do so. And it's like, you can get a short start out of him, and you have several high leverage arms that you can throw multiple innings out the bullpen that have done it all year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like I said, the coaching staff with Max Wiener, the arm farm, I think he's the best pitching coach in college baseball right now, if not one of the best pitching coaches, and just getting the most out of his guys and the athletes he's, you know, worked with throughout his entire career, let alone Chris. He's worked with these guys less than 12 months, less than 10 months, Chris. And look what he's already gotten out of them statistically. And I think individually as a whole, just stuff wise and, you know, draft stock wise. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's only going to get better. And I think that they're going to hone in on this and, you know, get going for the postseason. They may not be the hottest team going to the postseason because they're as hot as they've been all year. You know, you said everyone gets slipped up in the SEC at some point. Everyone gets caught. Texas is getting caught right now against 2 really good teams. 2 of the best teams, you could say, the best and most complete team in college baseball in Arkansas, and maybe the hottest team in the country in Florida. It's not like you're losing a series to A&M right now, or, you know, I'm going to use SEC examples, Alabama, you know, or Ole Miss. You know, it's not like you're losing middle of the pack SEC teams. You're losing to some of the best talent in the SEC that's playing their best baseball right now.
Or next weekend when you travel to Oklahoma. They lose that one, I will panic might be a strong word, but I'll become very, very concerned. I'm already a little concerned with Texas just because, and again, anybody, you lose your ace.
Yes.
They depended on
I'm not throwing a towel. Like, you know, that's why I didn't buy any more stock in Texas. Like, the cost is not worth what, you know, the ceiling is of a little bit more maybe, but a lot less, you know, when someone gets caught in the SEC. But Chris, did you buy any more stock in Florida at all? I think we bought a little bit, right? But
yeah,
everything changed for Florida, Chris. Do you know when?
When? Humor me.
April 11th. When you played Florida State and you won a 1-run ball game, everything changed that day in a midweek and followed in the SEC that following weekend when you swept Missouri. Everything has changed since then. I mean, sweep Missouri. You go take 2 or 3 at the dude in a run rule game 1. You take 2 or 3 at home versus number 5 Arkansas, an elite Arkansas team that obviously, you know, had their struggles. Then you go sweep on the road at South Carolina. And then you go take 2 or 3 at number 1 Texas. Missouri's a turning point, Chris.
Winning breeds confidence, breeds winning, breeds confidence.
Winning solves a lot of issues, Chris. And
no doubt.
I mean, speaking of Missouri, Chris, transition again.
You've been really good with the segues today. I'll give you credit, by the way. Anyways, great series by Florida, Texas. Going to be interesting to follow along. Again, big one at Oklahoma this weekend. They need to get it turned around quickly.